Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about ADHD and how we can see that through empowered eyes, what's actually behind this label. So our children are really coming forth saying, will you look at our light that's there with this ADHD look, and also will you help us move through the shadows of what I call ADHD type behaviors? So let's first look at the shadows because they come up and hit us in the face with our children. That's why some mums tend to go for a diagnosis or start to look at that, or other people come at them with this label because they're trying to understand what is going on with your child. Something's not quite working out with them fitting into reality. So the shadows. What I say is between star, heart, and earth energy, there's light and shadow with each one, right? And so any child that's carrying these ADHD type behaviors is basically starry energy in the shadows. So those shadows tend to be looking really scattered, ungrounded, unpresent, distracted from life. Many children have a big distraction going on for them. So it might be books, it might be a screen, it can be just looking obsessive about some interest. So it might even be, I've got to get out to the beach, or I've got to go and watch this TV show over and over and over, or, you know, sitting down and just doing origami over and over. It's something trying to block them from being here in this reality. And so then we start to realize, oh, yes, they have got some shadows there in their heart. There's some emotions that have come along since they've been born, stresses that they've been carrying, and that's where their heart's gone into the shadows. And so to block this, they're then going, okay, I'm going to put something in front of my face. So they look really disconnected from life. And sometimes this energy inside, this panicky, whizzed up energy, I don't know what to do with all this stress, then manifests on the outside with all this chaotic stuff. I'm bouncing here to there, I'm going that. I've got all these things on the go at once. Everything trying to block myself from feeling what's going on within myself. So when you take something off your child that's really supporting them, which might even be screen time, they are going to flounder, because often us as parents are not meaning to, but we're shaming our child for these shadows by saying, oh, you're so unorganized, or, you're too much, slow down, and all of that. And so when we don't have our heart supporting our child and really understanding this from their point of view, they really can't help it. They're doing these behaviors and trying to literally deal with all the stuff on the inside. We take out the support that they've got going on, might be books or screen time or whatnot. They're really got nothing. It's like they're out in space. I've got nothing to clutch onto. Not even my parents or someone else is there to support me to go, I've got you. And so that's the heart-to-heart parenting side, is to come back for us mothers first, to really bring that heart energy to go, I see you, I see what's going on. It feels really panicky inside. Hey, and then these things make you feel better. Is that right? Now, then we need to start looking at these reflections ourselves as parents first before we really try and fix our child, because there's always a reflection for us to look at. Firstly, starting with ourselves as mothers, but knowing that it can be the dads involved as well with these starry shadows. So it then comes down to, where am I distracting myself from life, e.g. social media, but it can be all sorts of things, just binge watching TV, it can be eating, there's all sorts of things that we can do. I even turn to recipe searching, but it's just that excessive doing something so that I don't have to face something else, or I could put that energy towards something more light. That's me sabotaging myself from being here in the real world and going forth with my light. So then by that distraction, it's really showing us, oh yeah, am I present to life? Am I present to my family? Am I feeling grounded? Have I got my channel, my ray up, feeling for the intuition, or am I just kind of reacting to life with what's going on? So that's when we start to go, oh wow, I can actually see some reflections in myself there. And that's the first start, generally, particularly if our children really don't want to hear us on it. It's like their higher self is like, off me and back to you, face yourself first. So that's where I say to a lot of mums, the mother-child healing is so important. The more you ground in, the more they feel that, okay, the more you clear your stuff on the inside, which brings up all the distractions from life. When I start to look at my own stresses, then I'm actually able to hold that more of a heart space for my child, because I go, wow, I'm humble. I can't pick on them when I've actually got this stuff going on and I'm doing it too. And so that's when we start to have that best friend energy to go, wow, isn't life tricky sometimes? And look what we're trying to do. We're all doing a good job trying to deal with these life stresses that do come up, as opposed to the picking on energy. You're not doing this right. You're too energetic. You're not focusing, and really picking on our children. So when we start to see that, we go, wow, there's all the shadows of this starry energy. Do we need a diagnosis? No, we don't, because as soon as we start to shift as mums and we really do look at, where am I not grounded? Do I need to shift what I'm eating? How can I get more energy? All sorts of things, that when we start to work on ourselves, then things start to shift and change for our children, because we're setting that intention, and we're more likely to insist on these changes for our children. Not in a, I know what you need to eat or I know what you need to do, but because you're carrying that energy of, yeah, I'm open for us to, coming together more present as a family. Naturally, things will just come up where it wouldn't have been before, because you have the door closed to yourself. So that's the shadows. But the main important thing is this heart-to-heart connection with your child. Do not let them feel disconnected and dropped out in the ocean by themselves in this. They have signed up for a reason to carry this star energy in the light. So when we start to, nurture this with our child, we can tell them all the great things. You have so much energy. How good is this going to be? Especially as you go forth in your path in life, you'll have this energy. And I really hope you can keep that, because often us mums are out of energy. And that's a cool thing to be able to talk to them, to say what a gift it is that you have a lot of energy, especially when you think about children who really don't have energy, and you go, yeah, this is the energy that carries the passion and, being able to move forward and do things. So there is that gift there. Of course, it can go into the shadows of burnout as we've gone along and gotten older and really run ourselves into the ground. And that's where we start to see, oh, self-worth, I can thrash myself and take myself to leaning to, overdone point, because I do have a lot of energy, but, leaning into too much again. So really showing your child that as well, and spelling it out in the future, what it can look like as an adult. If you move into the light with this and get good balance and you're a bit grounded, but you've got lots of energy, you can do so much great stuff. Let alone your mind. Like, look at all the things that it can focus on at once, and it can keep up with to a fairly good degree. If a child is at school and they hate school and there's nothing good, they're not going to be able to use their mind for greatness, as you can kind of imagine. When your child moves more to their aligned path and they're really involved in things that light them up, it will be a gift to be able to hold on to this, and I've got that going on, I can do this as well. And that's one thing, to really nurture that and to say, hey, look how amazing it is. Again, it can go into the shadows where you have too many plates spinning and your head literally goes into that ungroundedness again. So helping them to feel that this is me grounded and this is me ungrounded. And so then it's finding that balance back and forth, right? So yeah, they're the main two things really, is being able to, be in your mind and being able to hold this stuff without getting stuck in your mind, thinking about someone else, thinking about you, really, overdoing it, and being able to come back to your heart. And this is the point where we get that star energy up in the shadows and not being able to drop into the heart. And when we're in the heart, we're in our bodies more, we're more grounded, and we actually then can open our intuitive channel to just knowing what we need to do when we need to do it, and being more of a chameleon, taking action when we need to, as opposed to taking action on 10,000 things and realizing down the track, I didn't really need to do half of that stuff. I was literally plugging time and burning through that time when I could have saved my own life force energy, which is very important. So that's a little bit to understand behind the scenes. The main parts for your children, really helping them to feel, when does it feel good in your body? When do you feel grounded? Like when in the day or in the week do they actually feel like they're grounded? Say after a swim or a bath. It might be when they played out on the grass for ages. It might be when they do sport. It might be after a big cry, when they have those big tantrums and they're like, and you can see them ground in their body, because basically ungroundedness means I want to escape my body because I have a lot of stress in there and my soul doesn't feel comfortable. When we let all this stuff up, then we drop into our body. And so that is the most important key for mum and child, is the emotional body, to really look at this stress that we're holding on to. Some of it's big elephants in the room, things that have happened from birth or, big key events. But to really start to lean into that and to go, the more we look at these shadows, especially mum first, letting this stuff come up, our children are holding on to some of this for us. So then obviously it's going to be great because then it offloads them from carrying all that burden too. And once you've done it yourself, then you're more likely to hold a better space for them as well. So that's ADHD. I call it like this because there really is no need for a diagnosis if your child is moving towards their path and you are not putting them into space where they don't like it. Because, for example, at school, the ADHD energy is only going to get bigger and bigger because they can't come into their heart and they can't come into their earthy body because it's really not serving them. And the more, unfortunately, as us parents take and drop them off there, it's disconnecting that heart energy again, because they're saying, mum's even taking me here. So that brings that energy into even worse unbalance. But when we move our children to their path, and you can still do that even if they're at school, but really nurturing who they are and bringing that chat about their light and whatnot, then we start to actually move somewhere. And that's the exciting thing, that our children then can actually go forth and doing amazing things. So please let me know if you have any comments or any questions. I would love to hear from you. But otherwise, subscribe to my channel, and I'm going to keep doing these videos. I have done one on separation anxiety. I will do one on autism and probably many others, but follow me on Facebook and or Instagram if you like, because I do written posts about these if you prefer to catch the material written as well. Bye.